Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the Positional Sports Talk Show. Post live streaming on Facebook Live, Twitch, and our Positional Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. We are a sports talk show that's made for the fans, from the perspective of fans, presented by lifelong sports fans. We will provide our opinions and positions on the hottest topics in sports from the past week. My name is Big Reg. I'm joined this evening by my partners in crime. How you doing, Professor J?
Hey, I'm blessed, man. Peace to everybody out there. Ready to have a dynamic and great show with you tonight. Praise the Lord.
We'll be joined later on in the show by our man Ed. He'll pop in, so he'll just join the show in between and keep it flowing. And this evening, we got a special guest in the building. We got my man Mark from Delay of Game, the third member of Delay of Game that's joined us on Positional Sports Talk Show. So welcome to the show, Mark. How you doing, brother?
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you guys for having me. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a fun and joke show.
All right.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Mark, if you don't mind, we'd like to give all the first-time guests a little opportunity to tell our fans a little bit about themselves, whatever you feel like sharing. You can tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
Well, I mean, as I who are root for, I'm a Webster fan, born and raised in DC, of course, but I also support the black and gold from many, many years. And everybody who knows me from childhood knows that I've always represented the black and gold. Not a whole lot to say. I got 3 lovely children. The most blessed, the wonderful thing in my life, my whole entire life. And sports, I love football. I'm just ready to get to it, y'all.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, again, welcome to the show. We appreciate you jumping on and joining us this evening. We'd like to send a special shout out and prayers to our man J3. J3 is in the middle of handling some family business. Unfortunately, the Positional Sports Show family had a loss to our extended family. So J3 and the rest of the Somerville clan, you're in our thoughts and prayers. We're with you. And, if you need anything at all, just let me know. We make it happen.
Prayers up.
Absolutely.
So this evening, we will talk about the Major League Baseball World Series, UFC 254, Week 7 of the NFL football season, our college football update, of course, the post takes and other topics that caught our attention during the evening, and then our final post of the evening. So we appreciate everybody tuning in. Sit back and relax. Enjoy Post on the Positional Sports Talk Show channel. All right, fellas, the Major League Baseball season is almost complete.
Almost. Tonight.
I think Professor Man put the jinx in already. I think the professor put the jinx in already.
Calling it like it's going to be. It's all tonight.
I see you rocking the Dodgers gear.
That's right. You probably see every pitcher on the team tonight to make sure they close this joint out.
Well, I know you heard that they are not starting their second ace. They're holding him out to Game 7. So I think that might be a little risky business. I know he'd be starting on a short rest, but I don't like giving a team an opportunity to force a Game 7 because Game 7, anything can happen. And you got to give it to these Tampa Rays. Keep fighting every time.
They resilient.
The Dodgers win a game, Tampa wins the next game.
That's how it's been going, but they can break that streak tonight. But that's why I said you probably gonna see every pitcher tonight because Mr. Roberts, Manager Roberts, gonna make sure that if they got the lead, they're gonna use every lefty, righty that they have with different changeups, curveballs, speed to make sure that they get this last and final game. But we're gonna see at about 8:08. And see, tonight is intriguing because Roberts is toying around with starting my man Barnes over Will Smith tonight because as catcher, he generally has a greater command over the types of batters that are coming up. So the signals that he gets the type of pitches that he thinks will get them out. He does a better job than Will Smith. Will Smith has a slightly better bat, but as a team, they're hitting, I think, 268, and the Rays are hitting like 220 something. So as long as they swing in their bats tonight, the pitching should be able to come through by committee. So I understand the strategy, saving your ace, because Kershaw is pretty much done for this series. So if you saving your ace for a potential game 7, that's a better move than using him now and he's not on full rest and then something might happen. This actually should have been over because the botch in the 9th inning, on Saturday night when they had this thing that wrapped up, and then the throw to the home plate when you drop the ball. I mean, that's some crazy stuff right there. But I think that they'll play more lights out tonight and more dialed in because they know what's at stake. I mean, 32 years, y'all. 32 years. That's how long the drought has been. It's time.
Come on now, it ain't been that long. What you got to say, Mark?
It is.
I'll probably say the worst case scenario. The worst case scenarios for LA would be for game 2 replay. Arrested going into that particular week game among all, coming all among a game series with the Braves. And if they lose it, they do have Ace sitting on the mound, ready to roll, ready to go. So I would think that they would hope that the game 2 wouldn't replay again.
I agree.
I hear you. We got to give, at least I got to give, let me straighten that up. I got to give my man Kershaw some props. Since the last time we were on the air, I was wondering if Kershaw was going to finally show up.
Mm-hmm.
With the help of his manager, not leaving him out there too long, Kershaw came in, had 2 solid starts, which led to 2 wins for the Dodgers. So if this goes game 7, don't be surprised if you see Kershaw pop up for an inning to try to lock things down. But I'm looking for my boy Mookie to step up tonight and try to end this thing.
Yeah, he's due. And the thing that would be interesting about Kershaw is you could actually bring him in as a closer if the game is tight. And I think that strategy might work well if they need him in a pinch. But I'm hoping that it gets done tonight because who's on the mound? So they got their dude on the mound tonight, Snell. All right.
Yeah,
but Snell and Morton tonight might go in tandem to try to force this game 7. Now that's a formidable two-punch crew right there. So I'm not saying this is going to be easy by any stretch. And when you look at Arozarena, he is a beast. He's been smoking this entire time. And it must be them lucky cowboy boots that he's always talking about. And then you can't sleep on Brandon Lau either, because he's been making some tight and pinch plays, in the clutch as well. So it's like just when you think the Rays are dead in the water, that's when they come back swinging them bats. And it's like you look at the pitchers' faces for the Dodgers, the ones that be bringing that smoke, and it's like they be looking like, how in the world did that just happen? And they back in the game. So you can't sleep on them because the same thing they did to the Bombers, same thing they did to the Astros, I mean, it could happen here. So they definitely got to play a smart and cautious game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be interesting. Will we see 2 titles in LA within a month? Or will this be the lead to the first title in Tampa, possibly followed up by another title come February, March?
Yeah. Well, I like what BJ chimed in. He said, Magic is part owner of the Dodgers, and he a Laker for life. So I mean, Magic might be the happiest man on the planet if they can pull this thing out.
True story. At the beginning of the World Series, he posted on his YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, one of them, a picture of him and Kobe at a game, and he said, and sending shouts out to Kobe and how he was missing him, but he was glad to see that his Dodgers was doing their thing to bring him honor and put a smile on his face. So
excellent.
All right, folks. So Game 6 is tonight. Scheduled first pitch is at 8:08, and if necessary, Game 7 tomorrow night.
Yes.
First pitch 8:09. So let's move on to those of us out there that like the pugilistic sports. UFC 254. Last one in this segment of Fight Island. And Dana White had a monster as the main event.
That's right.
Possibly the best, arguably the best ever. Definitely at his weight class, lightweight. Possibly one of the top 3 to 5 fighters ever in MMA, not just UFC ever. Khabib Nurmagomedov beat a tough opponent, Justin Gaethje, via second round triangle choke.
Yeah.
And for you non-UFC MMA fighters out there, people out there, that's basically you wrap your legs around a man's neck in a triangle and gently put him to sleep, which he did.
Yeah.
He literally put Justin Gaethje to sleep because he wouldn't tap.
He was tapping for a long time. The ref actually missed it. When he first put it on and he was tapping, the ref missed it. And then right before he went out, he was just tapping for life, and then he was done. They was like, dang, you couldn't see that? That man was done. He literally put a stranglehold on him, though.
Yes, sir. And what's funny is I was listening, reading my man Daniel Cormier, former champ, and he was saying that Khabib actually did that out of respect for Gaethje because he had the opportunity to put him in an arm bar, but he didn't want to break his arm and hurt him, so he would be out an extended period of time.
Right. Now, if that was Conor McGregor, he would have did it. I mean, am I lying? He would have did it. He would have broke him.
Yeah, if that was McGregor, he might have tried to tear that thing off.
Tell you what, I tell you one other thing about B. This win was impressive because he came off of the foot injury. He had the foot just 17 days ago, the foot damage. So that was impressive to see him do that work with that short period of time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mark. Not only he didn't tell anybody about the foot, he told Dana after the fight that he broke a bone in his foot and had 2 broken toes.
He was moving pretty well. I can tell you.
He's a bad boy. But what was the biggest shock of the evening was not the fight itself. It was that at the end of the fight, Khabib, after going 29-0 in his MMA career and defending his lightweight title for a 3rd time in a row, retired in the ring, leaving his gloves in the middle of the ring, and said, based on him losing his dad this July to COVID, unfortunately, that it didn't feel the same fighting without him, and his mother actually didn't want him to take this fight, but he promised her this would be his last fight. So he finished his career with an O, 29-0. Him and his dad had already said that they wanted to go 30-0 and he was going to retire. So he goes out on top, and based on that man's religion and how devoted he is to family, don't expect to see Khabib again.
Right. And Dana White said a couple of weeks before the fight happened, like his dad died, I believe, that whatever Khabib wants, he gets. If he wants to go 30-0 and retire, he's done so much for the UFC that, he'll honor whatever wishes that he has. So I gotta believe that, stopping now, he'll continue to honor his wishes. So I wish him well, man. Definitely in the conversation for pound.
And he leaves a big hole in the lightweight division. So we will see. Your boy, as you said, Conor McGregor is acting like he wants to fight again. So that may give him, the motivation to get his belt back and then try to call out Khabib and say he's chicken and don't want to fight him. So,
well, like you say, his religion, his mom, his tight relationship he had with his dad, I don't really think anything gonna move him off of that stand, though. Yeah.
In the co-main event, you had former UFC middleweight champ Robert Whittaker with his second impressive victory in 3 months, 2 separate stints on Fight Island, beat Jared Cannonier by unanimous decision after taking control of the fight late in the first round. What'd you think of the co-main, Professor?
Oh man, I was totally disappointed. I thought that Whittaker would have got punished. I thought that Jared Cannonier was going to be the aggressor in the fight, and it was totally the other way around. I mean, it was still a great fight now, but I just thought that the outcome was going to be different. It's like almost from the beginning, it looked like Cannonier was in control. So, and then probably halfway through the first round to the rest of the fight, it was all Whittaker. And he had put a flurry together at the end of the fight to kind of come back. Now I'll give it to Cannonier. He took a kick that would have taken most fighters out, but he worked his way through that third round after taking that big shot and really started giving some pain back to Whittaker. But I think that one was a really good fight. I think that it kind of cooled the jets of Cannonier. I want to go out on a limb and say maybe he was looking past Whittaker a little bit, because he wanted to get to the next fight with our man. I always mess his name up too.
Israel Adesanya, this last style bender.
And I think Adesanya got in his head a little bit because he was like, hey, yeah, you take care of Whittaker, then I'll see about giving you a title fight. So that could have played mentally with him as well. Still a good fight, though.
Yeah. Did you check out any of the UFC over the weekend, Mark?
I just saw the main fight, the main card with the fights. I didn't see the rest of them, unfortunately.
Okay. So did you have any? Did you have any observations you wanted to share?
No.
Okay. Sorry, kept you mid go. As far as my boy Whittaker goes, you know what? I think Whittaker, and some of y'all have to excuse me, gets taken for granted because he's a nice guy. He doesn't look too, overpowering like a lot of MMA fighters do.
Right.
He's got that Australian accent. He doesn't go after anybody. So, they think he's just, nice guy.
Right.
That boy can fight.
They treated Anderson Silva the same way because he's so non-assuming and a nice guy. And they kind of treated him that way a little bit. And during the fight, they kind of made some comparisons between the two in their demeanor and how they go about the fight. So I agree with that.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the possible rematch between Whittaker and Adesanya. They're going to talk mad trash because, that's that neck of the woods. You got Whittaker from Australia and Adesanya right across the pond, water there in New Zealand. So that could be another heated fight there. For the rest of the card, for you non-UFC fans, I implore you to take a moment, check out a UFC pay-per-view.
Yes.
Maybe not necessarily the fights that they have every other week, but check out a pay-per-view. If you watch once or twice, I think you'll be hooked. Every other card on the main card of that fight was a finish.
Mm-hmm.
You had Alexander Volkov defeated Walt Harris with a second round KO with a kick to the stomach.
Yeah. Oh man, he was like, "Oh man," you can hear the dude screaming. Man, he kicked him so hard. I was like, "Man, he probably broke a rib or a sternum or something." That's how hard he kicked him. Man.
Yeah, that was crazy. Then you had Jacob Malkoon defeated Philip Halls with a first-round KO via punches.
Yeah.
And the ladies tend to be more vicious than the men. Lauren Murphy defeated Lilia Shakurov by second-round rear naked choke, and she choked her out.
Yeah. Oh man. And to share a coat, man, these names to Lila, I'll say that to her credit, she was thrown into that fight, so she really didn't know what she was getting in the ring with. But I give her credit for taking that fight on short notice.
Yeah, she sometimes all money ain't good money. Taking an L and taking a butt whipping. And last but not least, one of Khabib's boys who he had on the card, Magomed Ankalaev defeated Ian Kotaliev by a first-round KO via punches. So if you like action and you want to see people really go after it, please check out the UFC pay-per-views. They're good shows.
Absolutely.
All right, now it's time that we got to get into what really brought Mark here this week and what brings most of you back to us each and every week. Time to talk about the big bad NFL Week 7. Before we get into the games, there was, again, a few major injuries in the NFL over the weekend. You had Browns wide receiver Odell Beckham torn ACL out for the season. And then he tore his ACL chasing after a freaking interception by your boy Baker Mayfield and ends up getting his foot caught in the turf and tears up his ACL. What's up, Ed? Welcome to the show, brother. How you doing this evening?
Fine. How you guys doing?
Good, and you?
All right.
You just in time. We just hitting NFL.
What's happening?
Oh, man.
Also, Ed, welcome Mark, your fellow Steeler fan.
What's up, Mark?
From the leg game.
Nice to meet you. How you doing, brother?
What's up, man? What's happening, brother?
All right. Let's get into this.
Back to the end. Gave you love on that background, too. You can thank me later.
I thought I was at the wrong show. No, serious, I did.
Back to the NFL injuries. Washington safety Landon Collins, unfortunately, is out for the year. Torn Achilles. In the hit of the weekend, albeit illegal, Cowboys QB Andy Dalton got knocked up out.
Yeah, he sure did.
And he is out
felt that one.
On concussion protocol, so we'll see when he'll be back. It's doubtful that he'll play week 8. Seahawks had running back Chris Carson leave the game with a mid-foot sprain. He's week to week. Cardinals lost running back Kenyon Drake with an ankle injury. He's awaiting the MRI. Broncos running back Philip Lindsay also in a concussion protocol. 49ers wide receiver Deebo Samuel hamstring week to week. And then they had little used running back Jeff Wilson, who came in the game starting and replaced the 2 other injured 49ers running backs. He scores 3 touchdowns and tears up his ankle. He's going on IR.
Yeah. And I had put him on the waiver wire too, watching that. Then I heard that was bad as I don't know what.
And just this afternoon, we hear Bucs wide receiver Chris Godwin.
That's all I can say.
Broke his index fingers, has surgery today. He will miss the game against the Giants like they need him against the Giants. But who knows when he'll be back. For you Alabama fans out there and just football fans in general, Tua Tagovailoa will get his first start with the Miami Dolphins this Sunday, but he's going against a tough team and a bad man with the LA Rams and Aaron Donald. So
Donald and Broncos, here they go.
That might be a rough one, but let's get into it. in the most anticipated game of the week, the black and gold shows that not only are they for real, they may be the class of the AFC by beating the formerly unbeaten Tennessee Titans 27-24. All right, I'm going to yield the floor and let you fellas handle it, and y'all go ahead and, break down the game.
All right, before I get into it, or I'm sorry, Mark, would you like to kick it off, or should I? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and kick it off.
You kick it off. Go ahead. You do. Go ahead.
Okay. So that may have been the most anticipated game of the weekend, but the most exciting game occurred Sunday night. But I'm sure we'll get to that.
That's the next one.
Okay, I'm sure we'll get to that. But I obviously, I watched this game. I purposely cleared everything off my schedule so I can really examine this game from a non-biased viewpoint. And I will say this about Pittsburgh, and I've been telling you guys this since the summer. I said that ultimately it would be Pittsburgh and Baltimore in the AFC Championship game. And I said that based on the strength of their defense. But let's get into about this game. This game showed me that Pittsburgh can win with C+ effort against a quality opponent on the road, and overcome some adversity. And in every season, no matter if there's success involved with that team, you have to get breaks. There's a little bit of luck involved in every victory in the NFL. And Pittsburgh turned the ball over legitimately twice. I don't count the one, but legitimately twice. They contained Henry, and I wouldn't necessarily say they necessarily contained Henry. They just kept the ball away from him in the first half where he couldn't get started. So that was more of a keep him on the sideline, do your damage, and come out of there with a victory they hoped. But again, I learned a couple things from this game. I learned that Pittsburgh's resilient. I also learned that I've been trashing Tannehill for the last year and a half now, and I think that was misguided on my behalf. He's not necessarily a superstar, but he's way more than the Adam Gase allowed him to be down in Miami. And I think that, and I also gained respect as far as the staff in Tennessee and how they've constructed that team. It was a good game.
All right, Mark.
So you're right on point with everything. Because I was for Pittsburgh to come out with the strategy to keep the ball away from, and also to have a spy on Derrick Henry for the whole entire time. That was Vince Williams, man, the whole particular time. I was so impressed with their tackling ability. Once they got their hand on you, they would bring you down. So that first half was pretty much all the Steelers with keeping the ball possession. They went 7 for 7 in third down efficiency. They kept the ball moving. It was fantastic the first half. Second half, I give it to Vrabel for not really changing his game plan. Stuck to what he know.
Love that.
When they had that big play with AJ, that basically opened things up for him and say, hey, look, we're still in this ball game. I agree with you. I give 2 turnovers, but the one, the bounce interception, that wasn't Ben's fault. Ben was forcing it a little bit, but that last interception he threw, that ball did hit Juju hands. Now he forced it in between 3 defenders, but it touched his hands. If it touched your hands, you supposed to bring it in. You supposed to catch it. But it was a fantastic duel between 2 good physical teams. They're both very physical. resilient, as you said, it paid. The last thing was Ben's expression at the end of the game when he missed the kick. That was just priceless. Ben looked like he missed it. He missed it. So we thought we was going to overtime, but they pulled it out. But what can I say?
Yeah, I think Ben said Gautkowski saved him because he was a little nervous after throwing them 3 picks in the second half.
He walked up.
But you know, a criticism of Ben I've had, and I've had this his entire career, but it's also one of the things that has made him great. One of the criticisms I've had of Ben is if you watch that play that you referred to, Mark, as far as when he went to Juju and that he threw in the triple coverage, by the way, if you looked at that play, there was a receiver, number 18, crossing in the middle, that if he would just simply take that play, first down, pretty much ball game over at that point. So what I'm saying is that Tomlin and Ben are actually kind of, I understand why they get along so well, because they're kind of cut from the same cloth. They're kind of loosey-goosey. They're not necessarily, they don't really care about being in structure or playing like, by a script, so to speak. And I think that, like, when you talk about the Drew Breeses, the Tom Brady's, the Peyton Mannings and his peers, his contemporaries, as far as the era that he's played in, I think what separates him, we're not talking about off the field, by the way, but as far as on the field, what separates Ben is that he's been a little bit of a riverboat gambler. He kind of takes unnecessary risks. Instead of just getting the first down, he'll go for like that play in the end zone to Juju. So not to just pound the point in your head, but I think moving forward, and after 17 years, I don't know if it can be cleaned up. But those are some of the concerns that I have as far as Pittsburgh moving forward. And if and once they begin their playoff run, is Ben has to be, at this point in his career, he should know better. He's a 2-time champion, 3-time Super Bowl participant. He should know better to just get the first down and move on.
Once a gunslinger, always a gunslinger.
Right.
It's hard to break that out of him. But the problem is, like you said, he a 37-year-old, so that arm is quite as strong as it used to be, especially coming off an injury.
Right.
Yeah, he just reminds me a lot of the mentality that Brett Favre had, because he always wanted to get the ball in tight spaces. He knew because he had a quality defense that he could take chances. And I think Ben falls into that category of saying, look, I'm going to try to win at all costs. It might cost me with some interceptions sometimes, but hey, we got this great defense that can keep us in games. And if I hit the target, then hey, I'm going to get all the accolades anyway. So it's a little bit of ego and selfishness wrapped in there too. But hey, like you said, Ed, you hit on it. I mean, the reason why he doesn't get elevated with his contemporaries is because of that mentality that he has. But at the end of the day, 2-time champ, maybe 3. He's a Hall of Famer, so he hasn't had nothing to lose. And that's how they play when they late in their careers.
Yeah.
Before we move on for this game, I just got 2 other quick points. A.J. Brown is another alien out there playing wide receiver on the football field.
Right.
That slant he caught and got up to like 22.5 miles an hour running into the end zone is ridiculous.
That's because DK Metcalf wasn't chasing.
Yeah.
Well, they were teammates in Mississippi State, never won anything. I don't understand.
And for you college football fans, they used to take pictures of them 2 working out together. Ridiculous. Both of them are just ridiculous. But we get to Metcalf in a second.
I said Mississippi State. I meant Ole Miss. I'm sorry. That was Ole Miss. It wasn't Mississippi State. That was
Ole Miss. And lastly, I just have a question for you Steelers fans. That's you and you two. Do you think this physical pounding game against the Titans is going to cause some problems come this Sunday against division rival Black and Blue Ravens?
Mm-mm. And I don't think it's going to be a problem because if you remember, they had 2 games. Yeah,
not at all.
No, because the first game they had was Duck Hodges playing his debut. He was playing, and Juju fumbled, and we lost the game. But if you remember the second game, they got embarrassed by Baltimore's backups. I mean, it was the last game of the year, but they got embarrassed. So the last time they were in M&T, they didn't put up no fight. They looked like trash. Look, win, lose, or draw, it's going to be a better game, and you can't use the excuse of they're coming off a physical game at Tennessee. No excuses.
Doug,
I don't think it matters either. It doesn't matter. When them two play, you can throw all the records out the window. They play physical. Each game they play. So no, I don't think that matters.
Okay, cool.
I think it's gonna matter because I think BJ mentioned it in the comments. They got to stay healthy. It seems like y'all losing people left and right every game, and it looks like I need to check, but it looks like the Ravens have a little bit more health coming into this game than the Steelers do, and they're gonna be hitting on defense on both sides. So we definitely gonna see Ben gonna get harassed that whole game. He might have another 3 interception game, fellas.
No, he won't have another.
All right. Let's move on to the most exciting game of the week. And that happened Sunday night.
Yes,
when my man Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals put on a show with that bad man, dangerous Russ Wilson. And fellas, 37-34 overtime.
Speaking of
man, when you got to throw the ball 50 times a game, sometimes you're going to throw some picks.
But it turned out it cost them, though. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I hear you. He has no help on defense. That Seattle defense has given up 500 yards in 5 of the 6 games they played this year. 500 yards. It's ridiculous. But he's still on pace to win the MVP. Right now, he's got 22 touchdowns, the most ever through the first 6 games of the season. The other top 4 all won the MVP that year. So, but I want to talk about my man Kyler. Kyler starts off the games a little slow, but once he figures it out and start letting them little legs loose, he a problem.
I was watching this game, right? And I was half paying attention to it at first. Because if you remember the beginning of that game, it didn't look good for Kyler. In fact, I think he threw an interception either the first or second drive of the game that was just horrible. And I was like, there's no way that they even have a chance. He wasn't getting no time. His accuracy was an issue. And they really was not really stopping Seattle as far as any resistance whatsoever. But they benefited from Houston gave up the best receiver in the NFL. I still don't know how they got him for a second round pick. I don't know how, but anyway. And next thing you know, they just methodically, there was a turnover here, a turnover there, and they just methodically stayed in there, kept fighting, and ultimately they prevailed. And like I said, I don't know how they won that game. Like I really don't know how they won that game. Even before they it was late in the fourth quarter. I think it was like with 3 minutes left, they were still down, and they were just running their offense like it wasn't no big deal. It was like, oh, we'll get to the end zone. And then the next thing you know, it's tied up. I don't know how they did it.
Did y'all see when Kyler hit Hopkins for that long, deep touchdown? He actually smiled before he let that ball go.
Yeah, before he threw it. I saw that.
Yes. He saw the coverage that he wanted. Yes.
That was crazy. That's the first time I saw that.
Man, when you throwing the Hopkins wide open, wouldn't that make you smile? Come on. Touchdown.
But we also got to give it up to wide receiver Tyler Lockett of the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh my
God. Had a monster game. 15 catches, 200 yards,
man.
and 3 TDs.
Man.
Goodness. Woo.
I never thought Tyler Lockett was that good, even though he's been Russ's number one receiver for the last, 4 or 5 years. He's been their number one. But he's a true number one. And I wonder if the attention that teams are playing to that monster on the other side, I don't even know how they built. I don't know how he ended up in it. I think he went in the third round or second round. What did Metcalf go into the second? I know he didn't go to the first round. But irregardless, I don't know if they're extending more coverage and the safety over towards Metcalf's side. But whatever, and that might be the case because until he had that called back touchdown, he was pretty much held in check. And Lockett was killed. I think Lockett ended up with 200 yards receiving.
Yeah.
He dominated. He was on my fantasy team, and he got me plenty of points. Other thing about Lockett is, he started out as the kick returner for him, punt returner, kick returner. So we really didn't know how well a wide receiver he was going to be. Well, when they put him on the field, I think they only had him as a third option. And then he was gradually moved up to number one. But the boy he no bigger than this. Right. He ain't no bigger than this, but the boy he's speed and he gets open.
And we got to talk about that other alien. What DK Metcalf did on that interception that Russ threw was ridiculous. He was 10 yards behind the DB in a full sprint at 6'4", 240, maybe 250, and ran him down. Did you see Buda Baker turn around? He thought he was going to stiff on the play, and then he realized who it was and said, oh, damn.
And he said he never got caught before. He said Buda Baker said he's never been caught like that before. But if you looked at that play, when he finally caught, like when he was gaining on him, it didn't even look like it was a fair fight. Like he chased him down so fast that I was like a star. I didn't know he was that fast. I knew he was fast, but I didn't know he was that fast. Because he went out into his route. He had to Buda picked the pass off, had a clear path to the end zone. DK figured out that the ball was intercepted. If you watch the play, he turned around, wove through traffic, and then hit the Jets. And you know what? I don't think they scored on that.
They didn't score at all.
Yeah. I don't even think they got a field goal.
They didn't.
Right.
They didn't score. No, they didn't.
That was crazy.
Amazing.
That was crazy. Yeah. All right. So moving on, Tampa Bay Bucks.
That was impressive with no angle.
Yeah. What he did was crazy. That's crazy. The Bucks 5-2 beat the Raiders 45-20. I'm gonna give the Raiders a pass on this because they went the whole week without their entire offensive line being available, and they didn't know until right before the game if they were going to be able to play. They got 4 to 5 to play because of a COVID positive by their left tackle. But fellas, we got to start being real about Tampa Bay. That man Tom Brady and that offense is starting to get in gear.
Man, he getting every weapon he asks for, man. Playing field just imbalanced. I hear you, Reg. I hear you, but I just don't like it. It stinks. It stinks to me. But go ahead.
Either you're trying to win the championship or you're not.
Yeah, but look who they doing it for.
You know what? I don't care. I know, this, Antonio Brown had to go through some protocols to get back on the field and what have you, but I don't trust him. I don't care who. I don't care if Tom Brady is the quarterback. I don't, and I'm suspicious that this move went above Bruce Arians' head, because if you know anything about Bruce Arians and Big Ben and Bruce Arians are close. Yeah. And when I say close, and when I say close, I mean like vacationing together in the summer times. So for Bruce Arians to come out in the summertime and say it's not a fit, it's just not a fit. It won't be here. And then suddenly reverse course and say, okay, well, our number 1 and 2 receivers haven't necessarily been healthy this year. Our little slot receiver Miller, he's been up and down, and his consistency is suspect. Now all of a sudden you insert an Antonio Brown on your team. It just smells fishy to me. Like, it doesn't sound right. Now, I don't care. I
agree.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Just think about it.
Tom did a Tom thing. I think he went to the old just like he did in New England and asked for AB to be a consideration.
Right.
Go ahead, Mark.
Oh yeah. Going back, piggybacking on what Ed said, did you all know an award for quality awards from a women's sport because of all the work he did with women? You do all this and you bring AB onto the team too. I mean, you also, you got to wonder that the winning value outweighs everything else as far as protecting women. So I kind of am point what you just said. This might have been a little bit higher than Arians a call for. I think it came from up top.
You got to think of it this way. We're in the middle of COVID, not justifying anything. Tampa Bay's Tampa Bay. They haven't won anything, and they got a legit shot of possibly winning this. And every week, not one, not two, multiple receivers and tight ends have been either injured or nicked.
Mm-hmm.
And you know where Brady comes from. They don't have that. If you can walk, you playing. So he was tired of dealing with that. So I'm sure he went up and said, look, I'll call AB. He'll sign a minimum. Dirt cheap. You give him some incentives. He'll be here. And I like what Marcus brought in. Tom is becoming the LeBron James of the NFL. Hey, come with me. Sign a cheap deal. Get yourself a ring that you never had. Let's do this thing.
I mean, his business is booming. I mean, that's what that's what that's his motto. Business is booming. It's just that I don't know. Sometimes the culture of your team matters more than the talent on your team. But we'll see. It'll all work out. They say old folks used to say, "What goes on in the dark will come out in the light." So it'll all work out in the wash.
And if he act up,
Absolutely.
he'll be cut. He'll be cut that following Monday.
Right.
Let's move on to the actual Super Bowl champions, who's quiet as it kept, are now 6-1 and beating people any way they need to beat them with ease, barely breaking a sweat. In the first snow game of the year, for anybody who saw that was kind of fun to see football being played in the snow again. But the Kansas City Chiefs are rough. And now they're scoring on defense, returning kickoffs. Pat Mahomes, they can put up 43 points, and Mahomes only threw one touchdown? Uh-oh.
Yeah, but look, the Chiefs, they just have it like that right now. I mean, they have the best player in the NFL. Mahomes has reached a point where now it's like, I mean, basically, it's like when he plays, it's like playing against, college kids. I mean, that's where his game is heading towards. Kansas City, again, we've talked about this many times. It's a great organization. It has the proper, framework and structure in place to succeed. And I'm actually glad for Andy Reid, man, because like I said, man, sometimes the difference between winning and losing is simply, a quarterback. Or simply being in an environment that's conducive to winning. And I'm not saying Philadelphia is not an environment conducive to winning. I'm not saying that Michael Vick or before him, Donovan McNabb weren't quality quarterbacks. But it just seems like everything's in place for Kansas City, and Andy Reid to win, and they're going to do it. Let's be honest, they have the best quarterback in the league, and it's kind of not even close. I mean, I don't even know who's in his league in this category right now.
I agree, Ed. And he's growing and showing people that where most people thought he was a gunslinger, he's showing, hey, if the game calls for me to be a game manager, I'll be the game manager.
Mhm.
All I want is the W's and the rings.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But
Your
it,
boy-
like I said, it just goes back to the development, how they brought him along. They didn't make him rush. They didn't make him play. They put a professional quarterback in front of him to mentor him. They have a great head coach. Like I said, they laid out a plan and they're sticking to it, and you see what's happening. It's their time.
Well, they're gonna have to figure out their backfield situation because I don't like the split look because I don't think either one of them, especially Hilaire, got going. So they're gonna have to figure out what that's gonna look like. To me, Bell should have to earn his stripes coming in. He should be able to have limited time. But Hilaire just came off of a hot game last week. I don't like the way they managed the game from the running back perspective last week.
But you know what, Professor J, football is a game of attrition, and you're one hit away from a torn ACL, a high ankle sprain, or what have you, and then you got COVID. So you're right. I wish they would. I prefer like them selling on like a lead dog. But hey, man, you got to get Bell up to speed. As far as the offense, working with the line. So maybe that was just
like week 10. I'm just saying, I wouldn't take my running back, who's a rookie, by the way, that I've been developing this year. He just came off a monster game, and then just because this dude come in, now I'm gonna split his carries. I wouldn't do that.
Right.
Just so y'all know, Bell actually called Clyde Edwards-Helaire before he agreed to the contract, just to make sure it was cool with him and that they were on the same page. So while I think it'll be a work in progress, I think eventually you're going to see both of them in the backfield at the same time and put those two beasts on the field with 2 or 3 wide receivers and Kelsey. Ouch.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, some quick hits.
Pick your poison.
Absolutely.
Right.
The Packers beat the struggling Texans. Aaron Rodgers bounced back from his terrible game against the Bucs with 4 TDs. Man, I don't know about y'all, man. I'm starting to feel real bad for Deshaun. He just seemed like a man out there fighting.
Yeah, we've been saying that.
Yeah, that's another example of all money ain't good money.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it looked like they about to split his team up some more. JJ.
Yeah, they talk about sending more wide receivers out.
Yeah.
They gonna send what's his face up to Green Bay. Like
Steele. Penny Steele.
I'm like, this dude ain't gonna have nobody on this team. He should pull up on Bill O'Brien right there and just start stealing them.
Yeah. If I was Deshaun, I'd pull a hammy. Oh, coming from the toughest division in the NFL, the NFC West, the Rams put a beat down on the Bears on Monday Night Football. The Rams defense held the Bears scoreless except for a field goal. They got a touchdown, but that was actually from the Bears defense scooping up a fumble and scoring. Fellas, I think the Bears are frauds, and the NFC West has 4 teams that legitimately could make the playoffs.
It's going to happen, and they expanded the playoffs this year. Nobody's making it from the NFC East except one team.
Yeah,
we already know that,
and they should be disqualified.
Oh my gosh! So you figure Tampa, New Orleans. I'm sure they'll get in, and then the winner of the NFC Central, which probably would be Green Bay, as it looks like, and then the rest is probably coming from the West.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. All right. Tell me your thoughts on Baker, because we ain't even going. The Browns beat the Bengals. They always beat the Bengals. That's neither here nor there. The question is, do y'all buy into this hype that Baker Mayfield is actually better without Odell on the field?
What they normally say, the ball don't lie, right? In basketball. Well, in this case, they looked at the stats. It actually shows that he spreads the ball around a little more to other receivers with more success than always targeting Odell. Now, I'm going to give you a perfect example. Go back to the Philadelphia Eagles and Donovan McNabb. When Terrell Owens broke his leg or ankle or whatever, and he was out for several weeks, when Donovan started passing the ball around to Freddie Mitchell, the champ, and all them other cats on the team, they actually played a lot better as a unit that led them all the way to the Super Bowl. What happened in the Super Bowl? He kept trying to target T.O. so he wouldn't be doing all that chirping and whining, and I believe that's what cost them the Super Bowl, and those receivers felt the same way because they went away from the game plan that actually got them there. So if you watch them play in the second half after Odell went out, that ball was going around. In fact, if it wasn't going around, they would have lost that game because Joe Burrow actually played really good in that game. But that's the perfect example that came to mind when they were comparing what was going on between he and Odell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hear you, but is that the fault of the wide receiver? Or is that the fault of the play caller or the QB feeling that they have to get it to this person? Odell said multiple times this year, all I care about is winning. I don't care who gets the ball. We're going to be a run-based team, run the ball. So you can't put that on the receiver.
What he says and what he does are two different things. Is Odell not a diva? Yes or no? Is he not a diva?
If you ask the teammates of Odell, all of them love him.
That doesn't say he's not a diva, Reg. He wants the ball.
What receiver that's a number one doesn't want the ball?
But he's worse than most, is what I'm saying. He's worse than most.
They love him.
You know that. It's in the back of your mind.
They love him because he probably gives them hundreds at halftime, just like he can see that spread them hundreds through LSU. That's why they love him.
you wrong for that, Ed. You are wrong for that. You are wrong for that.
Sam thinks he was pressured. Might have been pressured to throw the ODD more.
That's what I'm saying. It's possibly the play caller. So we will see. All right, it's starting to get a little late.
He's done.
Yeah, true. Let me do some rapid fire real quick and wrap up a couple of these other meaningful games. The Bills bounced back, beat the winless Jets, but the Bills got problems now. They only scored 6 field goals, couldn't get to the end zone against the Jets. That's a problem. The Saints put down division foe Panthers 27-24. Saints did what they were supposed to do, but I like to give a special shout out to the Panthers QB, actually. Teddy Bridgewater is continually improving in their Panthers offense and is taking over that team. Panthers going to be something to deal with in 2021. 49ers, it's all their injuries, keep figuring out a way to win. And they beat the crap out of the Patriots. And fellas, I think something's wrong with Cam.
Yeah.
No question. No question.
Because the way he played the first 2 games, even though he didn't throw a lot of touchdowns and things, he just played different and threw it different. But the way he's playing now, either physically he doesn't feel right or something's going on. But that just, I think COVID did something to him and he doesn't want to admit it.
That's what I was going to say. Who's the player? I think it was Jacksonville, where he came back, but he kept having certain ailments and things from COVID that kept lingering over. So now he's done for the season. I was thinking the same thing is happening to Cam because he don't look right in the press conference, the way he looks on the field. I mean, he's not fiery. There's just nothing going on with him. I think it is too.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's a syndrome that they're calling long haul syndrome for people who've caught COVID, recovered, but have lingering problems. Some have had them for months now, and they can't figure out what it is that's causing these problems. I really don't want to mention this game, but we got to because of the incident. The Washington team thoroughly thumped the Dallas Cowboys 25-3, but the biggest point of the game was when Andy Dalton took that hit from John Bostic on the scramble, which ended up getting Bostic thrown out the game, Dalton out the game because of concussion. Just my little snippet. Cowboys had big problems. Dak making money every week.
Yes.
True.
Yes. Yes. But heck, if I was Dak, I'd be like, let me go. Let me go.
I bet he is saying that. I'm telling you, I bet he is. He probably like, man, go ahead and cut the cord. I'm done. Because they just sent a player. Somebody got traded today from Dallas.
They sent defensive end, to Detroit of all places.
Defensive end Griffin.
Yeah, exactly.
They waving the white flag. They're waving the white flag, fellas.
Griffin.
He wasn't contributing anything anyway, so it's not like they stopped anybody.
The question is, are they tanking for Trevor or just trying to funk up the place for Fields? Because
I don't think they have a choice. You see that third string quarterback? The only thing they can try to do, well, since they starting to trade people away, I don't see the Matthew Stafford thing happening. So I think they are about to get rid of whatever assets that they have, and they just gonna let it ride out. They might as well sit Zeke too. He fumbling anyway.
Fumbling, dropping balls, end up in interceptions. One thing I will tell all the Dallas fans out there that think, oh, we're going to bring Dak back and just franchise him again. Y'all tripping. Dak will not sign another franchise tag after getting injured this year playing under franchise tag. They'll either have to commit long-term to Dak or make him a free agent, or he'll sit out and not play.
And that'll be to his benefit for real. Get completely healed up.
It's sad that the state of the Cowboys is sad, but that's what they get. They hire a total bum in McCarthy. And I don't care if he won the Super Bowl. I don't want to hear nobody talk about he won the Super Bowl. I can win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. But plus he had a legitimate GM and he came in a legitimate organization. But the Cowboys are done, man. Unless they make wholesale changes, they have no offensive line. Even they have one legitimate offensive lineman, Martin. He's hurt. The left tackle should retire. The right tackle, he may be something, Collins, but he's hurt I think he might be gone for the year.
He's gone for the year.
Their defense, they have nobody on defense that you would want on your team. Like, you guys are Redskin fans. What player on their defense would you want on your team? Maybe maybe one of the cornerbacks is okay. I don't know. But
the best player on Dallas's defense is the man that came off of being out of football for 4 or 5 years.
Oh, Smith
is the best player on their defense. And that's saying something. Somebody ain't played football in 4 or 5 years is your best player.
Right.
Hey, BJ, I'm glad you was just kidding. I do not see Cap and Jones getting along at all.
No, that's not a fit. That's not a fit. He was part of.
One point I wanted to say about it.
Go ahead, Mark.
Hey, to me, did that hit warrant the Cowboys players to actually go after Bostic for that? It seemed to me they don't have enough fight in that team.
Yes. But they don't like them. They don't care. That's the whole point. They don't even like their coaching staff. That's the point I'm making. Right? They don't care. Yep, they don't.
Exactly, they don't.
When your quarterback gets hit so hard that his helmet pops off and he's out cold, on the turf,
Right.
and nobody pushes
Nobody.
anybody.
Nobody.
They barely went up to the quarterback. Yeah.
That was terrible.
Yeah.
All right. So enough bashing on them Cowboys. Jerry, it's time to be real. It's time to rebuild. Let that go. Get you a high draft choice in the draft and build from there and move on. We're not going to get into these other games because they really didn't matter. But one thing, Falcons figure out another way to lose the game. They get creative. I got to give them credit for that. So the week 8 matchup.
Have a defense? I mean, I'm just wondering. Do they even have a defense? Stop trying to blame Todd Gurley. He's a running back. He did what his instincts tell him to do. Y'all should have stopped him.
Week 8 matchups to look forward to. The big one, Steelers and Ravens, Sunday, 1 p.m. I'm going to have my popcorn ready for that one. You got Patriots and Bills, Sunday at 1 p.m. This may be Cam's last start for the Patriots if he looks bad again. Raiders at the Browns. Are the Browns for real, or have they just beaten a bunch of bad teams? And can the Raiders bounce back after hopefully being able to get a full week of practice in with the offensive line? Rams and Dolphins, Tua's first start.
Tua attack.
Saints and Bears, Sunday, 4:25. And 49ers and Seahawks. So you got some good games coming up this week. So moving on real quick to college football, and we won't spend a lot of time here this week. The Big Ten returned. The only two big things I want to point out with the Big Ten, Ohio State is for real for as long as they can play. Unfortunately, Ohio is having a big outbreak too with COVID. So we'll see how many games they get through. And speaking of COVID, Wisconsin killed Illinois 45-7 behind a redshirt freshman QB Graham Metzer, who set a team completion percentage record going 20 for 21 and throwing 5 TD passes, and then was found to flunk his COVID test, which has been confirmed by a PCR test. So now he's out for 21 days. Not only did he test positive, but his backup, and he was already the backup, so he was supposed to be in second string. So now the third string quarterback also, who would have been starting in his place, has also tested positive, waiting on a final confirmation through his PCR test. So they may be down to their fourth QB, and soon they'll have to play a running back at QB. So COVID in the Big Ten in that upper Midwest area where it's just going crazy. Yeah, I don't see the Big Ten playing all these games. Alabama had a big loss over the weekend in their 48-17 thrashing of Tennessee. They lost the dangerous wide receiver kick returner Jalen Waddle to a severe high ankle sprain, and he also had a fracture in the ankle. So that'll be his last game in the Crimson, because he is for sure a first-round talent, and he'd be a fool if he went back to Alabama. Here locally, University of Maryland. And Loxley, I know they put you in a bad situation coming off of the situation after having a player die, and the cupboard was bare. But this is year 2, Mike. You got to do better. You had some decent recruiting, but, I mean, you got to become competitive. When Northwestern beats you 43-3,
I know.
You got problems. And unfortunately, Talia doesn't look quite ready to take over on the offense, so we'll see. But good luck, Maryland. I'm still be looking out for you because I'm a Mike Loxley fan and definitely a Talia fan. Looking ahead this weekend, some of the big games out there. Ohio State visits Penn State, who's coming off a demoralizing loss.
What a game.
You got number 13 Michigan hosting Michigan State for the Paul Bunyan Trophy. Oklahoma State hosts Texas. Oklahoma State's the Big 12's last chance at possibly having someone make the college playoffs. If their next 3 games are tough. If they can get through the next 3 games with W's, they'll still have a chance. And then you got a bunch of blowouts: Clemson, Boston College, Bama, Mississippi State, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech. The biggest thing to look forward is next week. We'll see if Clemson and or Notre Dame are both for real as they meet probably for the first of 2 meetings for the ACC Division League.
Well, we know Clemson is for real. We just need to see if Notre Dame.
I was trying to be nice.
I know, but I'm gonna be honest.
I'm trying to be nice.
But that's it. That's in Notre Dame. So we'll see. Yeah. It might be snowing.
Good point. All right. Anybody have anything else to add in for college football before we get our post takes?
No, but just real quick, as far as the Big Ten is concerned, that they've already announced that if there's any games, that there's not going to be any rescheduled games. So that if a team is comes down with a COVID outbreak and it's forced that team to reschedule or those teams to reschedule, that's it, no contest. So keep an eye on that, particularly with the COVID running rampant throughout the Midwest, like you mentioned, Big Reg.
Good point.
Right.
And the Big Ten's policy on COVID players, you out 21 days, period. And then they got to go through a bunch of medical tests to get evaluated to be able to come back. So, all right, Professor, it's time for your takes, bro.
All right, rapid fire. Let's get it. All right, number 1, there are serious problems in Big D. They have a broken Pro Bowl quarterback, an unmotivated running back, a concussed and ineffective backup QB, terrible defense, makeshift offensive line, and a coaching staff in disarray. Could it be that this team will be tanking and may only win 1 or 2 more games? Just think about that for the rest of the season. Number 2, did you know that 2 out of the top 10 highest paid players in sports are Kirk Cousins and Carson Wentz, number 9 and 10 respectively? Just take a look at their teams, and all I can say is, wow. That was for Jay. Number 3, Jeff Garcia. Why are you worried about how Cam Newton dresses? This is the NFL and it's professional football. Give more analysis to his play and how he can improve. No one truly cares how Cam or any other player, for that matter, chooses to express themselves. Cam agreed with you, which shows a certain level of maturity and certainly knows that he has to do better. The great part about 1 full year in this system is that he will at least help him improve as a quarterback. Riverboat Ron and others never spent a moment on developing Cam's mechanics. 4, enough NFL. Over to the WNBA. Kudos to Atlanta Dream's own Elizabeth Williams for stepping up and stepping out for Reverend Raphael Warnock, former pastor of famed church Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. He is now leading in the state Senate race because of Williams' outspokenness and her support. Reverend Warnock was able to raise the funds and expand his reach. Good change for you, Georgia. NBA. Man, shaking my head. Did the man say that he had no time? Superman, Shaq Diesel, Shaq Stradamus. Shaquille O'Neal recently admitted on his podcast that he has not voted in the past because he was too busy. What? He admitted that there was no excuse, but he still made one, didn't he? He has submitted his absentee ballot for this presidential election. So to you, Shaq, I say welcome to the resistance and the revolution. Now go and make sure Cam has done Kaepernick, has done the same thing. Major League Baseball. Legendary Vin Scully is asking the question before I could of the LA Dodgers in their quest for an elusive world title. What's taking you so long? I totally agree. Sunday should have been it. The 9th inning debacle in pitching and team defense allowed the Rays to make an unbelievable comeback in Game 4. So tonight should be it. If they really want the 32-year-old monkey to be permanently removed from their backs, they need to handle business and hoist Kershaw into the rafters. NCAA football. One weekend of big football, people are losing their minds. Justin Fields is a great QB, but he won't win the Heisman, and OSU won't win the national title. Let's pipe down. They played Nebraska. Northwestern smashed Maryland, and Tagovailoa seems to not just ready yet for the starting stage. Michigan looked okay. Penn State laid a big egg, and Wisconsin will fold down the stretch. Let's give them a few weeks before crowning them the best conference. A long way before destroying Alabama versus Clemson national championship. NCAA men's basketball. A few weeks ago, I gave you the top 5 for women's college basketball. Now let's preview the men. We are a month away from tip-off. That's right, just a month. And your 5 are Baylor, number 1. Number 2 is Villanova. Number 3, Gonzaga. Number 4, Virginia. Number 5, Kentucky. And of course, honorable mention to number 10, Duke, and number 15, North Carolina. Get ready for the return of college basketball. To the Octagon, John Jones, Anderson Silva, Jorge or George St. Pierre, and Khabib Nurmagomedov. I hate that dude's name. Who is the GOAT of UFC MMA? Certainly, there are other names that can be thrown in the ring, but there are legitimate debates for all names listed. Not having a loss is significant, but so are number of title defenses and the level of competition. There's nothing better than going out on top and honoring your parents' wishes, but 30-0 should be the goal for Khabib and face one more top-notch fighter. And number 10, Olympic athletes are staying positive and keeping up hopes that we will have a redo of the games this coming summer. The pandemic was a huge blow, but many of them have found the silver lining in this major setback. For so many, it has been mental health that has been the key in this wait and not so much the physical. When there's always a rush to the games and time gets short, many athletes struggle to keep the noise down inside their own heads. This time has allowed for calm and purposeful reflection. I believe this will give us a much more competitive games in summer 2021. And these are your post takes. Back to you, Reg.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that, Professor. A couple other things that caught our eye before we get out of here. Congrats to our man, Lewis Hamilton, who won his 92nd Grand Prix, becoming the all-time wins leader in Formula One racing. And for you folks who don't know, Lewis is the only African. He's not an African-American, so he's African. He's from London, whatever African of this African descent Londoner in F1. And now is the all-time wins leader. And if he wins one of the next 3 races left in the series, he will also get his 7th series championship, tying Michael Schumacher for the all-time wins league in that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Something we're going to hit on in a couple of weeks when we have a little more time, but the NBA is proposing that they're going to start the season December 22nd with a 72-game reduced schedule. We'll get into that, but it's a lot to get into that. And also there was a couple of coach hirings. Indiana Pacers hired Raptors assistant Kevin Bjorken. Stan Van Gundy was hired as the new head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans, which leaves the Houston Rockets and the Oklahoma City Thunder as the only open head coaching vacancies. Another topic that we got to get into later in a couple of weeks, once we have some more time, the NCAA has used their time with COVID well. Remember about a year and a half ago, there was all this big stink about a FBI investigation and a federal investigation into bribery and things for NCAA basketball coaches. Well, this week they sent the University of Arizona head coach Sean Miller a notice of allegations, 5 level 1, including the death sentence one, lack of institutional control, and lack of head coach control. They also sent a similar one to LSU and their coach Will Wade. So the NCAA, it went for a little bit, but they're coming for people. So Kansas, Louisville, North Carolina State, Oklahoma State, South Carolina, TCU, USC, Alabama, Auburn, Creighton.
Oh no.
All your
Oh.
men's basketball teams, be on the lookout. You may be getting letters soon. NASCAR has had to delay the Texas Motor Speedway again today. They had 3 days of rain, but they got to get this race in because they're within the last 3 of the race for the Cup. So look for the NASCAR to try to finish up tomorrow. U.S. men's 100-meter world champion Christian Coleman was banned today until May 2022 for missing multiple drug tests and possible doping violations, which means our best chance for winning 100 meters in next year's 2021 rescheduled Olympics is gone, and also puts a big hole in our 4x100 team. And last but not least, for you boxing fans, you got 2 championship cards this weekend. On Halloween on Saturday, Gervonta Tank Davis takes on Leo Santa Cruz for Davis's 135-pound regular lightweight championship. You do have to remember Teofimo Lopez actually has the super WBA championship, but that's another story that we're getting to in later. And you got Neil Inoue faces Jason Maloney for the IBF and WBA bantamweight titles on ESPN+. The Tank Davis Santa Cruz is on Showtime pay-per-view. All right, fellas, we ran a little late this evening, but we did it. Had a good show. I appreciate it. It's time for our final post. So we'll let our guests go first. Mark, you got any final words for us?
Just this week, I read the article about Andre Hopkins riding through the streets, and he ran up against one of Trump's motor vans or one of his promoters. Then he held up the middle finger to him. Well, I thought that was kind of interesting. They interviewed him about this, and he said he was really trying to hold up the peace sign, but he held up the middle finger instead. With that said, he couldn't get it up fast enough, basically. With that said, please do your civic duty and go vote this year so we can get this dude out of here. And we ain't got to worry about it. Nobody holding no peace sign, no F sign. Let's just do our job and get him out of here.
I hear you. Professor, what you got for us this week? Professor. Ed, if you can hear me, what you got?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just want everybody to again, we've been saying this for a while. Just be safe, be cognizant of your surroundings. Try to not only keep yourself safe, but the people that you care about safe, if possible. Again, get out there and exercise your right. It's not too late to vote. We're coming down to in fact, I believe it's next week. We're coming down to the wire. And again, however you choose to exercise that's up to you, but just make sure you do. And watch Pittsburgh and Baltimore. That's all I have.
Appreciate that. I got word from the professor that he was having a little issues, technical issues on his side. So I'd like to finish up similar to the way we started this program. Again, I'd like to send our thoughts and prayers, condolences and well wishes to J3, the whole Somerville family, as they lay to rest one of the elders of the family, Deacon John Walter Somerville Sr. Again, if you guys need anything at all, please let us know. We'd be glad to do it. We're with you. Our hearts break for you, and know that you're not alone. And it's 1 week away, everybody. 1 week. Maryland early voting started yesterday. For those of you who are not doing mail-in voting, Maryland early voting started yesterday. If you're in Maryland, you can do it. DC early voting started today. Virginia's early voting has been going on for a while. If you're around the country, check. Most states have started their early voting. Get out, vote early. Don't wait till November 3rd, because who knows what craziness may happen on November 3rd. As Mark said, do your civic duty. Every vote counts. If you want to have a say in how this country is run and who's running our country, then you got to step up. If you don't step up, how can you complain about how this country is run and what happens to us and our people? And I'll leave it there. We'd like to thank you all for tuning in and listening this evening. We appreciate your time and opportunity to share our position on sports with you. Please tune in next Tuesday and each and every Tuesday at 7 p.m. for our next live show. You can also download this show and previous shows via our Facebook and YouTube pages. Positions on Sports Talk Show is the YouTube page. Facebook and Twitter is at Positions on Sports. Please subscribe. It's free of charge. You can also follow and like both pages. Please tell your friends, family members, if you enjoyed the show, to check us out. We would greatly appreciate that. And if you have any comments or suggestions on how we can improve, hit us up. We're looking to get bigger, better, and grow stronger. And a last quick update. At the bottom of the first inning, them Tampa Bay Rays are up 1-0 with the big bomb by that young rookie. So check out the World Series Game 6. It's on now. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Stay safe. Love each other. Be there for each other. And don't forget, vote, vote, vote. Peace.
God bless you.